A bombshell report details a secret agreement struck between President Barack Obama and the former Australian Prime Minister. One America's McKinney has more.
President Trump calls it the worst deal ever. Within weeks of taking office in 2017, President Trump was locked in a heated exchange with Malcolm Turnbull, who was the Prime Minister of Australia at the time. The president was looking for a way out of a deal struck between Barack Obama and Turnbull, which forced the U.S. to accept over 1,200 mostly Middle Eastern refugees from Australia. At the time, Turnbull was under pressure because the refugees were allegedly living in poor conditions at processing centers on remote Pacific islands, and laws prevented them from being brought into Australia. However, the benefit for the U.S. was a lot less clear.
I have a lot of respect for Australia. I love Australia as a country, but we had a problem where for whatever reason, President Obama said that they were going to take probably well over 1,000 illegal immigrants who were in prisons, and they were going to bring them and take them into this country. And I just said, why?
Fast forward over 2 years, and we now know from a Politico report released Thursday that Obama wanted to offload 3 Rwandan men accused of brutally murdering American tourists overseas. The rebels were part of the Liberation Army of Rwanda, an offshoot of the group largely responsible for the 1994 genocide. The men were brought to the U.S. after they confessed their involvement in the 1999 massacre, which resulted in the murder of 2 Americans, 4 Britons, 2 New Zealanders, and their Ugandan tour guide. The group was targeted on their trip to the Ugandan rainforest, which is near Rwanda, where they were beaten and hacked to death by machetes and axes, and at least one of the victims was burned alive. The rest of the dozen tourists were kidnapped and later released. However, this case was thrown out after a judge ruled the men had been tortured into confessing, which also meant it would be unsafe to send them back to Rwanda. Documents show the U.S. quietly resettled 2 of the men in Australia last November. The 3rd man remains at an ICE detention center in Miami after he attacked a guard. Sources say the secret agreement could be a thorn in the side of Australia's new Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, as it comes just days before the general election. Already, Morrison is trying to get in front of the controversy.
These specific allegations were reviewed by our security agencies and by our immigration authorities, and they were not found to be upheld in their view, and as a result, they are allowed to come to Australia.
Some of the victims' families are speaking out, saying they're devastated to learn the men have been released without further punishment. McKinney, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.